Jump pack marketing is out of control. Some are claiming as much as 8,000 amps and even starting a 12-liter diesel. I got sent one and today we're going to see if it can actually deliver. I'll be testing it on engines all the way up to a 13-liter diesel, and spoiler alert, the clamp does not make it to the end.
For comparison, this NOCO I've used for years is rated at 3,000 amps. And just to round things off, I got this 2,000 amp NOCO. Here's my setup. I have a Dodge Ram 5.7 gas engine. We got the battery out, so that's not going to interfere with the test between each one. We know we're starting from a blank slate. And I got an oscilloscope here. I have a high amp clamp where we're going to be measuring the current delivered by these jump packs. And I'm also going to be monitoring the voltage to see how the battery performs as it's loaded. So all these jump packs are fully charged, straight off the charger. And the first thing I notice off the bat is that this is 4 gauge, this guy is 6 gauge, and this guy is 8 gauge. So we're gonna hook up our NOCO GB70. This is our 2,000 amp rated. The GB150 now. Let's hook up the oxyto. It shut down on its own that last time there. Let's see. Can I get it to eke out some more? So after those starts, we're now at 69%. Here we have our GB150. Yellow is our voltage, green is our amperage. Our starting voltage is 11.69. And right here, this drop, when the cranking event starts, we could see our voltage drop to 7.26 volts. And our peak amperage was 576 amps. Here we have the oxyto. Our starting voltage is going to be higher at 15.42 volts. And we're going to have a low of 9.16 volts with a peak current of 704 amps. Now we're going to be doing the same test with an 8.8 liter gas engine. We have the battery disconnected, and we're going to be checking out the oxyto first. I have a remote switch on the starter so that we can keep cranking the engine over so we can test which jump pack can crank the engine longer. The oxyto did that better than I would imagine at 18 seconds, and after this it went into an H8 error. I looked into the manual and this is indicating that the jump pack is overheating. And now we have the NOCO on here. The remote switch fell off of the starter, so this test was inconclusive. We're now rerunning the same test with the oxyto and NOCO, but this time we're using Cummins 6.7 liter. First up, we have the oxyto. And after a few seconds, oxyto once again went into its H8 error. This was a full day after the last use, and the battery is fully charged. And now we have the NOCO on here. And we could see the NOCO cranked it for a lot longer. Now we're really putting these jump packs to the test on the 13-liter diesel. Right away, the oxyto has an issue. The clamps can't fully contact the cables. And unsurprisingly, neither pack could start the engine. They barely managed to turn the engine over at all. Here are the cranking results. The MX-13, because of the poor clamping, both packs couldn't overcome the initial breakaway, so the peak current stayed low. But notice how the 8.8 and 6.7 show the same peak, 1,140 amps. That's just my clamp maxing out, so we need a different tool to measure the peak current. I'm going to be using a shunt. This is the same way a multimeter reads current in line. Think of water in a big pipe. You can't see how much is flowing, but when the pressure builds, even solid pipes flex just a little bit.
The problem is every pipe flexes differently and depending on its age, material, and condition. So instead of measuring just a random piece of pipe, we use a short special section that we understand. We know exactly how much it flexes for a given pressure. It doesn't slow the water down, but because we know how it behaves, we can measure that tiny flex and translate it into flow. It works the same way for electricity. Pressure is voltage, flow is current. The two are tied together through Ohm's law. So in our case, I'm going to be measuring a tiny voltage drop across a piece of conductive material I understand. As current flows, the drop grows with current. In this case, that special section is just a piece of bus bar acting as a shunt. I'll calibrate it by comparing readings from a current clamp to the voltage drop across the bar at a few different currents. Once I got those points, I can connect the dots, and because the bar is ohmic, the relationship is a straight line. If you wanted to be really accurate with it, you'd use Kelvin clamps and you would measure the temperature to control for it. I'm not doing that here. This is just a rough test to get a solid ballpark on the current. So to measure the peak current, I'm setting up a near short. I have the shunt on the positive side and I'm going to measure the voltage drop across it. And on the other end of the shunt, I'm going to connect it straight to ground on the jump pack. This is going to keep our resistance low, and so we should see the maximum current that this jump pack can produce. Keep in mind, shorting a jump pack like this is dangerous, and I really should be wearing more PPE. Here's the data from our shunt test. The lowest peak voltage we saw was 293 millivolts. If we go back to our calibration chart, that works out to roughly 3,700 amps of peak current. I'm confident this pack could probably deliver more than that because the real failure point wasn't the cells, it was the clamps. We saw that thin gauge cable exploded and sprayed copper everywhere. That tells me the main weakness of this pack is the clamps that were constantly overheating. And it's even possible that they made it this way so that the clamps were the bottleneck so the pack itself wouldn't have to sustain current for that long. Still, this pack performed better than I expected. I never believed 8,000 amps would happen for any real duration, but it definitely did better than I expected. And that brings me to the bigger point. What do you actually do with these numbers? The truth is that peak amperage is a useless rating for jump packs. Those peaks only last a few milliseconds, and starting a vehicle takes seconds. So peak current really is just a reflection of the battery's internal resistance. So when you see 8,000 amps or 5,000 amps printed on the box, they're not exactly lying. The pack could probably deliver that in a direct short for maybe a couple milliseconds, but that doesn't mean it's going to start an engine, even the smaller one, and that's why peak amperage is basically marketing fluff. So what should you look at instead? Honestly, that's the tough part because right now there isn't a good standardized way to compare these jump packs like cold cranking amps for a battery. Even the packs I use don't give specs that really help. The closest thing I've found is milliamp hours or watt hour ratings, but really those don't tell you directly how much current the pack can deliver when trying to start an engine. So for now, the best advice I can give is to lean on other reviews, check the warranty, and make sure the company has a solid track record. That way, even if the numbers on the box are completely wrong, you'll know that the pack itself is backed up in the real world. And one other thing that I personally look for is that the clamp is powered by a USB-C connection. That's a personal preference because I've had packs that are micro B charged, and you always have the issue with micro B that those cables only last a certain amount of time. They charge slow and they end up breaking off way too easy.